Thank you so much for having me, Carol. It is such an honor to be here, to be amongst this great group of speakers, and to be here with each of you celebrating the International Day of the Girl Child. Wow, so honored. So, you may be wondering, who is this animal doctor and why is she here talking about self love? I get it. What do animals and self love really have to do with each other? I can't wait to connect some of those dots for you. But the truth is that I do a lot of rescue and rehabilitation, and I see a lot of animals who just really impress me with their ability to withstand trauma and be resilient to that. And I can really relate to those concepts of resilience and trauma. Can any of you raise a hand? Like many kids of trauma, I grew up thinking that my worth was in what I could accomplish. So accomplish I did. I'm still blown away that even though I was on my own when I was 16, I still managed to graduate near the top of my class. And by the time I was 17, I was already serving in the military as a way to get into college. I was a goal oriented overachiever, and there was nothing that was going to get in my way of success. Bachelor's degree from a prestigious university, check. Master's degree and PhD, check, check. Having 3 kids while in grad school, check, check, check. Dream job as a high level government official protecting America's most trusted resources, including over 1,300 threatened and endangered species. Check. I set the goal, I met the goal, and then I quickly set another, usually without even stopping to celebrate my success. Check, 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 check. Now, I know I'm with a powerful group of ladies here. Can any of you girls relate to being a high achiever? Yeah. I would repeatedly tell myself, I'll be happy when I get there, or there, or there, or there. For as long as I can remember, I suffered from a disease I like to call I'll be happy when ascites. Maybe you've heard of it. Have you ever made your happiness a moving target? By 2016, even though I had accomplished way more than I had ever thought possible, my moving target of happiness exploded into flames. I remember lying on the bathroom floor in this hideous pink tile bathroom. I couldn't breathe. The trauma I was facing was overwhelming. I struggled to catch my breath. The weight of the world was on my shoulders. But my inability to breathe was just the start of my issues. In what seemed like a blink of an eye, I went from making 6 figures to being on food stamps, from living in a beautiful home with my picture perfect family to being unchosen and unhoused, living in an old, beat up RV with 3 kids and 3 dogs. Why me? Why me? Haven't I done everything you've asked? Who am I without all of my accomplishments? It took me 6 long years with some really dark nights to get out of that pit and to realize that I'm enough and worthy of love and acceptance regardless of what I accomplish. What I hadn't recognized up to that point was that my ability to be happy really came down to one thing: my ability to love myself. And I realized that each step in my journey, even the really, really dark ones, had led me to this exact moment in time where I was supposed to be. I discovered that while I don't need to be the best at everything in order to be worthy of love and acceptance, I actually am the best at being me, at being exactly who I was created to be every day, in every way, without the pressure of having to achieve. I was created to live in this moment, in this space, so that I could give this world a unique contribution. And so are each of you. So, what in the world does any of that have to do with me being an animal doctor? Well, my background is in animal wellness and environmental wellness. And in those spaces, the right answers are often really hard to come by. We struggle with questions like, what happens when saving one species actually endangers another? Or is it more important for this sweet girl? Always the challenge with having animals. So, is it more important for this sweet girl to be away from her friends so that she can be disease free, or to be able to play with her friends and have that social contact? So, in those spaces, always fun to have animals in the show. Yeah, one of my favorite classes was an animal welfare class where we would debate these really cool topics like, why is it okay for us to feed mice to snakes, but it's not okay for us to feed kittens to snakes? It was the first time I learned of this concept called telos. And telos means ultimate purpose or aim. In animal welfare, it's the pigness of a pig, the tigerness of a tiger, the eagleness of an eagle. And in the science of welfare, it's really easy for us to be able to say that if an animal is experiencing good welfare, it must be able to experience its telos. But if it's not, then its welfare could be compromised. So in my darkest moments, it hit me. I was this welfare scientist who had the worst welfare imaginable. I didn't even know what my telos was. I didn't know what the meanness of me was, the essence of my soul. I'd lived a life waiting for happiness to find me and to be worthy of love once I had achieved enough, instead of loving myself regardless of what I had achieved. What I discovered is that my ability to love others and show up for others was only as great as my ability to show up and love myself. And if I was being really honest, I had never really truly loved myself or shown up for myself. I had just focused on achieving. I thought back to when I was really little. What was the essence of my soul? What gifts have I always held that were with me from the time I was really a young girl, that have always been part of who I am? When I was little, my dad would call me General and Mighty Mouth. Those two nicknames, oh man, I hated them. I perceived both of them as negative, probably because I was constantly being told I was too loud, too bossy, just too much. Can anyone relate? In grad school, I was even reprimanded for my voice carrying too far down the hall. I was ashamed to shine my light and speak my truth because of the harsh judgment and criticism I would receive. The world was not a safe space for me. But during those 6 years of really dark nights, I discovered my telos. I discovered I was created to be a voice for those who don't have one. My voice carries. My voice carries. General Mighty Mouth. Wow. Animal welfare and conservation biology are often fields of doom and gloom. There's not a lot of wins, and it can be really hard and really sad in that space. It's really easy to look around and see all of the destruction, all of the tragedy, the chaos, and even the hate. The seemingly never-ending news feeds of disasters, trauma, 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 trauma. Everywhere you look. It's easy to question, what is the point? Why are we even here? Have you ever wondered what your purpose is? For me, witnessing all that destruction can sometimes make me question, why was this world even created if it's so full of suffering? You see, I'm a person that cares really deeply about the pain in this world, and sometimes that pain impacts me tremendously. Anyone else? But in discovering my telos, I realized that I wasn't created to care so deeply so that I could be filled with my own suffering. I was created to care so deeply so that I could be a general mighty mouth, a leader whose voice carries far and wide. And instead of being consumed with grief and sadness over the state of the world, I was created to do something about it. You know, nature is a really beautiful thing. The way everything is interconnected, there's a yin and a yang, an ebb and a flow. But in the middle of manure is where things grow. I've done a lot of amazing things in my career and some that maybe weren't. But none of my accomplishments or lack thereof defined my telos. My core telos had been part of me since I was a child. My passion for animals, my love for nature, my continuous desire to learn and grow. General Mighty Mouth was created to be one of the voices that changes the way the world views wellness. I'm reminded of how easily animals can recover from trauma, how resilient they are to just bounce back and heal, to learn to love and to trust and to play. In reading Carol's book, the Harriet Tubman Way, I don't know if you can see that. Maybe, maybe not. I was inspired by Harriet's love and her connection to nature. It saved her. Her ability to connect with nature really was deeply spiritual for her. And just as it is for me, it was part of her telos, like it is mine. The resilience of nature and the resilience of animals is remarkable. But I realized that I too have remarkable resilience. I was placed on this earth to be a victorious warrior, a general in the battle for the underserved. I was placed on this earth to use my gifts for the betterment of the ecosystem around me and the humans, animals, and landscapes within it. What if I had to experience all of that trauma so that I could use my mighty mouth for those who are still experiencing theirs? What if all I had to do was hit my happiness target? To hit my happiness target was to be fully living in my telos. What if that was true for you? What if each experience you've had, good or bad, allows you to embrace your telos and contribute positively to humanity? What if each of the setbacks you faced was really just a set up for your next best self? A new way to use your gifts, a new perspective to be able to positively contribute to your ecosystem. It's been nearly 7 years since I was laying on that hideous pink tile bathroom floor, gasping for air. The other day, I went to one of the beaches that I spent a lot of my time at when I was living in that old RV. The beach is my peaceful place, my serenity, my happy. I lit a fire and I watched the flames dancing in the dusk. The orange and the pinks and the deep purples were scattered across the sky, reflecting off the waves as they crashed into the rocks. This line of beautiful pelicans was flying by, and their aerodynamic dives splashing into the water. I took a deep breath, and I smelled that salty air. I celebrated a huge win. Really important leaders were listening to my voice, asking me to help them solve some of our nation's biggest environmental challenges. General Mighty Mouth. My voice carries. All of those dark nights had helped me to create the exact solution that was needed to help humans, animals, and Earth heal together. I realized how far I had come in my own wellness and in my ability to truly love myself, whether or not I could accomplish anything. I celebrated how alive and excited I felt to be using my mighty mouth as a general in the fight for the Earth's future and every human, animal, and landscape in it, to be fully living in my telos. As I end my time here today, I just want to ask you, are you ready to finally hit your happiness target by living fully in your telos? Do you even know what your telos is? And do you love yourself enough to embrace it, to honor and respect the valuable gifts that you have been given so that you can contribute them to this world? Thank you so much for holding space for me today and being able to listen as I share part of my journey. I am so honored to be here and celebrate this day with you. And if you are interested more about what I do, please follow me on Oceans of Grace 805. That's Oceans of Grace 805 on social media, or my website at oceansofgrace.earth. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure.